Eamon, you're here with the Irish Estate Agents Association.
Correct. It's a franchise called REA, which stands for Real Estate Alliance.
And you've come here with a whole bunch of estate agents from Ireland, generally,
Correct,
not
indeed.
just Dublin, not just Cork,
Yeah.
all over the country, to talk about the investment opportunities in Ireland.
Correct, yeah. We're a group of 55 offices. We're all chartered surveyors, members of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. A number of the firms are long established. Our own particular practice, which is in Dungarvan, County Waterford, on the south coast. We were 80 years in business last month. My father and grandfather were in the practice.
You don't look that old.
Pardon? No. I'm showing the signs of it now, may I say. But we basically have been proactive in reaching out to the market here. In 2018, coincidentally enough, 3 of our top 4 residential sales were actually to people coming from the UK.
Right, okay.
In our own office, you know.
Yes.
So you can't beat, particularly with the world of internet and everybody sitting at home with their finger on the iPad. It's just brilliant to come and meet people and engage.
Real people with real
people
conversations.
And inform them and give them background as to what we do in our product offering.
What persuaded you then, as an association, that now was a good time to dip your water into the Property Investor Show, which is something, it's a big move.
It is, yeah. Well, we obviously have a duty of care to the client to ensure that we're giving optimum profile and exposure to the assets. By reason of our ongoing interaction with people coming over from the UK, we have found that there's a constant a footfall appearing with us. This is a huge statement to make, but I would think with sincerity that last year in our office was probably the most significant jump in UK inquiries going back to 89, 90, the time of poll tax.
Yes.
So that's showing my age now, perhaps, but definitely it's very evident that there is a mix of people coming across. If I may, just to explain the mix, there are 3 markets we find. There are those that had to move to the UK in the 50s and 60s for work, and
you're returning Irishmen.
Correct, and our country was shockingly lucky to have the open arms of our neighbours to give these jobs when they weren't at home, and that's the reality. You have those who have eyed, particularly the coast of Ireland has been an ideal setting to have a second home if you're fortunate enough to have that second home.
Yes.
And then you have the investor.
Yes.
So,
and of course, increasingly, I think you're going to have retirees, because
very much so.
There are lots of people right now with all of this Brexit nonsense going on who haven't a clue what's going to happen here, and are saying, you know what, I could live very happy in Ireland. It's a great place.
And we are getting that feedback, and I don't in any way in your country wish to pass comment or be sceptical, because there's even the leak in the roof now to be addressed. So it's a very touchy topic, and I have very dear personal friends that work in London. But like we had a gentleman here today, Mr. Trevor Rowe, who has retired from working for Her Majesty's Police, and he just purchased recently in Ireland. Now, he would have Irish connections, but he very much has grasped the opportunity and more than likely could retire to Ireland.
He's not going to come out and become a Gardaí.
Well, he'd be very welcome. Like all police forces, sadly, our numbers are reducing. But it's look, we have the language.
Yes.
We have the connectivity, thanks to Mr. O'Leary and Ryanair, and we travelled with Ryanair to Stansted this morning.
It's the only way to travel to Stansted.
Well,
really.
and he's made it very affordable.
Absolutely.
So it's easy to get to. If you need to take the ferry, you can do that, and not take off your belt and take off your shoes. You can have more comfort travelling.
Civilized.
Yes, civilized approach, like the old days. But we have a country with open arms out. It's our closest neighbour, and we believe that we have a lot to offer.
And you must be gaining massively from companies in the UK who are saying, I'm covering my options here, we're going to open an office in Ireland, whether it's in Cork, whether it's in Dublin or elsewhere.
Correct, yeah. There was a
You're going to be the big winners on this, aren't you?
Well, one would never wish to win from people's misfortune. But what I would say to you is that the Dublin has benefited quite well, particularly in the financial services sector, because we have a strong financial services.
And IT as well.
Correct. And, the one thing we are at home, I think, is we're quite adaptable. And that was proven when we were asked to vote twice, and we adapted and changed our opinion twice as well.
Could happen here yet.
Well, I hope sense prevails, but I'm not a political animal. I don't know what happens. But watching Mr. John Snowden in the evening on my television at home, I think the deliberating and the ponderous approach is not a fair reflection on the nation. That's all I would say.
That's a fair comment. So, people are coming over there. Obviously, Ireland has got this vast diversity of what's available.
Correct.
Dublin is now uber expensive.
Sadly, that's becoming a challenge because if you have some people that are looking at relocating and they have a choice between Amsterdam, Frankfurt, or other locations in Europe, or further afield, may I say, when you've got staff and you're trying to move them, a team, not staff, rentals is becoming an issue. But the biggest challenge you see with our nation is that when we had the 7 or 8 years of recession, there was very little construction taking place. So there was no construction. That meant the state hadn't their own accommodation to supply back. Therefore, the private sector had to step in, shoulder the workload, release their stock, what the state should have been doing and should have continued to do. So it's very much been squeezed. So at the moment, the biggest change that I see in the market is that the arrival of the institutional residential investor. So that's becoming, may I say, a problem to the smaller investor, because if you have a scheme of 200 apartments that are coming to the market, there are funds that are coming and they are purchasing all of them, which from the developer. So the developer now has no risk because they now have a contract, a solicitor, a surveyor
money
for
in
the
bank.
entire, and they can work to a cash flow, in contrast to the young couple who, in my opinion, should have that opportunity, because in Ireland, similar to the UK, we have a strong belief in owning one's home, be it an apartment, a house. In Europe, as we know, there's more a transition approach with regards to that people are happy to float and rent over a period of time. But in Ireland, it's the home ownership which goes back to the foundation of the state, perhaps. So
Going back to cost, what's a 2-bedroom apartment in Dublin going to cost you now? Obviously, it varies from area to area.
Very much varies. But like we had a gentleman that was there with us, and he had a budget of 200 to 250, and I just said it's not enough. So the average price of a starter home in Dublin at the moment is now in the region of 400,000.
And that pound or euros?
That's euros. That's in euros. In Rome, do as the Romans do.
But not much difference these days, to be fair.
Well, and could be coming closer. It's interesting too as well. We had a very interesting engagement with Sarah. She's a lady who works with Smart Currency, and she was saying that people are becoming very focused on setting margins now and getting clarity as to exchange rates, whereas before they were happy to leave it vary and go with the markets, where now people are just getting fearful as to how things are going to go, so they're locking into a rate.
The 400,000 is quite expensive, and if you went somewhere on the south coast, Clonakilty or somewhere, I mean, it's going to be way cheaper, isn't it?
I compliment your selection there. It's a beautiful town, so you could have that. You could have that. The rental return, obviously, in Dublin is quite strong and significant. However, the one thing for the investor, and we're saying it to some of the very nice people who are engaging here today, if you're looking at strong provincial towns outside the larger centres, from an investment point of view, the return on a property that might be costing between 100 to 150,000 may not be significantly less than a residential investment property that would be costing you 2 to 220, 230.
It's that sweet spot, isn't it?
Correct.
How much you have to invest for your return you're going to get from it.
So what we're saying to people here today is, if you're thinking of spending, maybe you should consider doing 2, focusing on that, and taking it as a softer, less risk type margin. So we believe in that to be quite strong.
So the show's been a success for you so far?
We're delighted. We're thrilled that we made the decision to reaching out. We found some very interesting people here today who are genuinely not tire kickers. After 30 years in the business,
you know the difference.
You have a fair idea who you're dealing with, and we've met some really genuine people here today, and we look forward to continuing the relationship.